I'll call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, August 7th, 2025. It's 3 p.m. and we're here to review the background check policy. And I will turn it over to our prosecutor, Mr. Allen.
Okay. Well, last week after our meeting, I sent an updated background check policy that incorporated the comments to date, left a handful of questions or decisions we still need to vet out, and was forwarded to you guys for input. So I think the purpose of today is to discuss any input you guys have on this preliminary draft, to try to vet through some of those lingering questions, and then to discuss kind of what the next steps are going to look like for soliciting input from other elected officials and department heads. So I guess we can start first with input on the draft as it sits currently.
Okay. One of the, do you have anything right now, Dave?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
On the last page, on page 4,
Okay.
I don't know if I missed it. I read through this this afternoon. It says that we're going to maintain on file the background checks for employees and applicants. I know where we talked about filing them for employees, but have we talked about where we're going to keep them for applicants? Because we don't keep personnel files on applicants.
I would say that maybe we're going to have to for somebody that goes through this process. So this isn't going to be like you post the position, you get 10 applicants, and all of them get a personnel file. It's we post the position, we get 10 applicants, the elected official or department head selects who they want for the position. We then create a personnel file for that person. We go through the background check policy. If there's drug testing needed for pre-employment, we do that. If there's a credit check needed, we do that. And then if they pass all of those, they become an employee. If they don't pass all of those, we're probably going to retain that personnel file and then go back to the other 9 and say, okay, who's your next pick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would create some kind of a personnel file for an applicant that never made it.
Yes, if they make it to that final stage, I would say you would probably need to.
That makes sense. I just wondered, since that was not mentioned in here and we hadn't really talked about that twist.
Okay.
One of the questions I had was number 5, the final decision. On page 3.
Okay.
I was with advice of legal counsel when necessary. I kind of would like to make sure, maybe put if there's any felonies, if there's, kind of spell it out more, because that is kind of, because some people, I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. And I'd like them to get to, because I know we might have some applicants or that there is something on their record, but is that elected official going to make up their mind without, oh, that's fine? That's what worries me a little bit, is I'd like to have more, like, if it's a felony over, if it's a felony or a misdemeanor within the last 2 years, maybe have legal review it.
Okay.
I mean, so that we don't have a...
So it's not a judgment call.
Yeah.
So you just want guidance on when legal review is necessary, right?
Or at least at a minimum.
Yeah.
That at least in these cases, there will be legal input.
That actually might, I think we can incorporate it in. Isaac, for purposes of your note taking, I think maybe section or article 4 might have some of the foundation that's needed for that already in place. And maybe we just need to add a subparagraph, because it already talks about some violations will automatically disqualify. So then maybe we need to say, because other evaluations will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis when appropriate. Maybe we need to say, if we're going to have automatic disqualifiers, maybe that's a list here, following or automatic disqualifying offenses in all cases. And then maybe the next paragraph is the following are, types of criminal offenses shall be or should be reviewed with legal counsel prior to the final hiring decision being made. Something along those lines.
Yeah,
and then figure out what that list is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can work something in there.
Okay.
Speaking of those paragraphs under 4,
Okay.
third paragraph down on the bottom of page 2, any applicant or employee convicted of a serious felony, is that a legal definition, serious felony?
It is. Did you pull that code section?
I did not pull that code section. I just saw that about 30 minutes ago and highlighted it and thought I'm going to ask if, so that we're not in the gray area.
Yeah, so under Idaho Code Section 18-310, subsection 2, which is the section we're calling out, list a number of 30-ish different types of offenses. So we've got aggravated assault, aggravated battery, assault with intent to commit a serious felony, battery with intent to commit a serious felony, burglary, domestic battery, felony level, enticing children, forcible penetration, indecent exposure, injury to children, a felony category, felony intimidating witnesses, lewd conduct with a minor. So it's all of those.
Can we maybe cite the code? I mean, serious.
It's there.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, he cited the code.
Cited the code.
In 4.
So that way we don't have to keep modifying our background check policy as the legislature maybe adds new code sections, right?
Okay.
So let's say our legislature next year decides that there's going to be a new crime for, murder with a wooden bat.
Yeah.
We don't have to go back and add that new offense here. We've just cited the statute. So
Okay.
These
I
are
didn't
the-
see that. I was looking on. I thought this was page 2.
But we may need to educate the person doing the employment to go look at that list when they're doing it so that they're not skipping over it and go, oh, well, that didn't sound like a serious felony to me. Because I didn't know serious felony was a legal term. So rather than list the list, I think we just need to train our people that when they're hiring, they should go look at the list. So they're aware.
And just so you guys are aware, that's the Idaho Code provision that our legislature uses to identify what a disqualifying offense is for people losing certain civil rights, including your right to bear firearms.
Okay.
And so, as we were brainstorming, we're like, how do we put together this list? What should be on it? Eventually, we just reached a conclusion that, hey, there's already a list out there.
Right.
Someone else has already said, like, this is a list of serious offenses. So why don't we just piggyback on it? Why recreate the wheel? So,
That makes sense. Thank you for explaining it.
yeah, you bet.
And then that does still leave open to, I think it was your point, there are some like misdemeanors that we can still do legal counseling on if there's a question, right? Like whether or not it would disqualify someone.
Yeah, or, some withheld judgments that were, kind of like,
Yeah.
Those were the areas that I had my questions in. I mean, it looks pretty good, which is, of course, at this point in the process, that's no surprise. There's been a lot of work put in.
Do we want to chat more about, I know Lance or SCSO is in here, but one of the things that I think we keep coming back to is we're trying to grapple with how the policy is going to be implemented, is what does that initial stage look like? Is the sheriff's office involved initially? Like, are we contacting them to set up and initiate the background check? Are we having our individual departments try to coordinate directly with ISP? Is, ISP through their background check processes willing to conduct that service for their, standard fee that they do for government entities from time to time? I call them out because that's actually who we use for our office. So all my background checks I run through ISP, and they charge a fee.
I guess we can look. We can do that. And
Because there are a lot of commercial services out there now too that are $10 to $12 a pop for a multi-state background check. That was something else that I was going to ask about. In here, have we ever defined that the background check would be multi-state or, because there are some of my clients have gotten into trouble when they did what they thought was a thorough background check and it was just the local state and it didn't catch offenses outside.
I know the Idaho State Police background check runs what we call an NCIC. The NCIC is a 50-state return.
Okay.
So if we utilize that for all the other county departments, then that would catch those.
Okay.
Sometimes the level or sufficiency of detail is tough to decipher, as we've talked about, right? You get this document and you're like, I don't know how to read this. And obviously as attorneys, we're trained to read it, but even some states can look at it and we can say, it doesn't actually tell us what we need to know. We might know how to read it, but the actual return doesn't tell us what information is needed to know what happened in a case. And so, in those instances, if it's another jurisdiction or another state, a lot of times we end up having to contact that state and try to get a hold of the local DA's office in whatever county this occurred in and say, hey, can you pull this case number, tell me what happened with it. So we do that as prosecutors. If it's an offense that occurred in the state of Idaho, obviously we've got access through our own court system, through I-courts, where we know how to read and interpret the I-courts history for an Idaho resident. So yeah, I think we just need to vet out, how do we want that process to start? Do we want SCSO involved? Do we want to try to see if we can go directly through ISP for it, etc.? And then I think the same is going to be analyzed for the credit check. Who do we want conducting those? Who's going to help interpret them? I think you guys probably saw from the email I sent you in actually evaluating what comes back from this. Because in theory, we're looking at it from a policy perspective saying, oh yeah, it sounds great. In theory, let's go get a credit check for these certain employees. And then we started actually looking at what these returns look like for a credit check. We're saying, well, what are we going to do with this information? Are we going to be able to parse it out and figure out what's important? Are we not?
And I think you're right. Would Carrie have that? Be able to tell us anything on that, or treasurer?
I don't know what sort of training or background she has in reading those types of reports.
I can do that. I can call and see how they read them. I've got a couple of people with banking, with the banks.
Okay.
See what they look at. They see if they have any policies that explain what they do or what they look at, or
Sure.
okay.
And part of our concern is saying, okay, we get this credit check. Let's say that person A gets it for one employee and person B gets it for a different employee. They both get them back, and this credit check talks about a home loan they have in some state. Are we going to depend on both of those two elected officials or department heads to render an opinion about what the significance of that home loan is? Is that good? Is that bad? Is that
And really, where would the credit check really be unless somebody's dealing with cash?
Cash or maybe like security bribery positions is another concern that came up in my research, but I think the sheriff's office has procedures for that, I guess.
Yeah, and we talked about certain departments having employees that have removable goods where they're not under the supervision or purview of other colleagues. So maybe certain positions are prone to being able to say, hey, I could take this object or item and nobody would ever know that it's missing from my place of work. So maybe some of those positions might be relevant. But we come back once again to saying, okay, we get this credit check, which we think we want. What are we doing with it? Are we able to analyze it? Are we trained to analyze it, etc.?
Okay. I'll check into that.
Okay. So Isaac, just make note that we're going to follow back up on that question.
Okay.
Okay, you guys got my note. We pulled the drug testing section of the policy out because it's about the same page length as the background check policy is. So we've got a separate policy. We wanted to iron out some of the kinks in this one.
Okay.
We can forward you guys our draft now of the drug testing policy. And then all the background check policy is now going to say is that certain positions may be subject to a drug testing policy adopted in a separate handbook. So,
Okay.
Isaac, what else? What am I missing?
I had a strange one. So this is going to apply to anybody we hire in the future. It's also going to, some part of it would apply to people getting them every 5 or 10 years that are already here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with elected officials?
I
Nothing,
think
right?
elected officials answer to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was assuming, but we have not talked specifically about. They are employees of the county at some point. This talks about employees, but we never said excluding.
Yeah, I don't think the BOCC or legal has any authority to tell another elected official what they can or can't do. We've got certain roles. I can tell them that they can't break the law. You can tell them this is how much money you can spend.
Yeah.
But short of those couple of exceptions, they really answer the people. So either the people like the decisions they're making and what they're doing, or they don't.
Just like what our Constitution said with, when we elected the the president was going through that problem, and that's doesn't really spell that out.
All right. Any other input?
No, I think we've answered most of my questions in the first couple of meetings. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
So-
check out. I'll check on the credit deal.
Okay. Yeah, if you can get us an answer on that.
Okay.
Also, inclination, are we wanting to try to utilize ISP? Do you want me to reach out to them and see
Yeah,
if
if
they're
you
willing to
could.
provide that service for the other departments too?
Sure.
Okay.
And we'll see what the price would be. And
Okay.
because I know these guys are overloaded a lot, and I don't want to put a lot on our department
Mm-hmm.
unless they just want to. It's up to them. I just don't want to.
And if ISP is, $30 or $40, then we should look at some of these commercial services that are $10 or $12 and see if we are we need your help to figure out if we're getting the same quality. But many of them have a menu because I help clients with that, and you get to pick what you're having checked, and that affects the price of what you're doing.
So it sounds like follow up. Jeff, you'll get me the info from the treasurer, and if that's a no-go, maybe some thoughts on what you want to do with the credit check piece. Dave, I'll report back to you with what ISP says, and then I'll rely on you to say, yep, that's good by me, or no, let's go source
At least
elsewhere.
let's look at some other options.
Once we get both of those two things ironed out, are we in a position then to circulate a draft with the attached spreadsheet categorizing each of the different employee positions and send it out to the various electeds and department heads for input? Okay.
I agree so, yeah.
Okay.
You believe we're that close?
I'm thinking, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I think we need to get their input. We've got with the attached spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll also work on getting you guys the drug testing policy draft in the next day or two if I can.
Separate from that, I'll be talking to you on the side about a key policy and your input on that.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know how I can help.
Okay. Really quick, did you have any specific concerns about when you would want to move legal counsel in for the case by case analysis? Anything that, any misdemeanor? Was there something more that you were like targeted towards just for my research?
Probably, you probably want to look at theft and
What if we just said, anything criminal that shows up, automatically we get a legal opinion?
would that be fair?
Okay.
I
can do
think,
that.
yeah.
And then
that
you
would
could
sound
say,
good.
yeah, that was 25 years ago and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or, so that we're getting some expert opinion on
Yeah.
anything of a serious, someone else is telling us if it's serious or not.
okay. Yeah, I think that would be great.
How much time do you have with us left this year?
You got me for tomorrow and then the rest of the next week.
Okay.
That's it.
We gotta get this thing done, Ben.
Well, the good part is provisions like this, ongoing obligations for a legal opinion, fingers crossed. We've now got a civil deputy on board, so hopefully things like this will be able to accommodate and get taken care of for the county. So,
Okay.
When
Yeah.
can we meet the new civil?
he was watching court this morning. He's up in the office working on, I actually think he's helping out on the firearms policy right now. So he's helping with that, and we looped him in, and so he jumped in and he's doing work on that right now for you guys. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, maybe I'll follow you up
Replace
at
me.
the end
He's
of
a
the meeting and say
full
hi.
attorney now.
yeah, you bet. You can actually run up after this if you had free time. He's just up there working away.
Yeah, I'll
So,
just come up after this and say hi.
yeah, you bet.
All right.
Not bad.
Well, appreciate it.
Okay.
If there's nothing further, meeting